Vikinandam. So today I wanted to share with you all about something that's very close to my heart, something that's very personal, one of the biggest relationships, the greatest relationship of my life so far to date, in the hopes that my sharing about the struggle that I had in this relationship might shed some light or guidance to others that are perhaps stuck in the same way that I was. So as I was walking through this campus today, I'm living in Bengaluru, Adinam. As I was walking through this campus today, I had it was a remembrance of a past cognition that kind of just flashed in my inner space. And it was so unexpected, it kind of took me by surprise. I drew my attention to that thought and the feeling that it provoked immediately, and looked in to see why it was there. And the moment I started looking at this old cognition that was there inside of me, I thought, wow, okay, how much my cognition has changed from how I used to perceive this to how it is now. I have to share this with virtually everyone. So I'm sure you're interested to know, okay, what relationship could she possibly be talking about? And this relationship is my relationship with God, or my perception of God and what God was to me at that time. So from a young age, the moment that I heard of this concept of a God, I was fascinated by this idea, and I can say my seeking was ignited for finding out, what is this God? What is its purpose? What is my purpose? Why did it create me? Who created it? All of these questions were there. And the upbringing that I had, I was raised as a Roman Catholic. The upbringing that I had was what I was taught is that God is a separate entity to me, that I am here on this planet for some unknown reason to me, along with everyone else. And there's a far off God somewhere that has created not just my life, but all of this existence. So this idea of separateness always, in me, especially during my moments of suffering, it always created a lot of pain in me, because see, we're taught that this God is a compassionate God, an all-loving God, but also a judgmental God, that if you don't do the right things, that you will be punished, that you can be seen as a sinner. And these ideas that I carried about how I connect with God definitely put a feeling of strain in not knowing how to reach out to God, especially in my time of need. So, and I kind of had this relationship with God where if I felt that I really needed something, like I said, if I was feeling that I'm suffering, then my prayers would intensify, and surely my communication with this God was more frequent than when I was in a happier space. So it's almost like I was viewing God as a utility, as a means to something. He's the creator of everything, and my fate is in his hands. This idea was there, that he has a big part in making something happen for me. And if there's some kind of a calamity, then he's also part of that that process of, you know, making that happen in my life. So after a lot of suffering, I started to develop a kind of subtle anger towards God. There was a feeling of, obviously brought about by this separateness, that he's just not listening to me, or that he doesn't care enough, or that I'm not important enough, or that I'm doing something wrong. So there were many, many mixed cognitions, there were many, many mixed ideas, and that anger got to a point where I decided that not just the anger, but the pain that I was carrying inside of me towards myself and life, I started thinking about committing suicide, and I just gave up. I decided that no, I'm not being heard. I don't know if I'm loved or not. I don't know what the hell is going on, but I kind of gave up on the whole idea of prayer and reaching out to God. So I was very angry that my life was the way it was. I didn't understand, why are my circumstances the way they are when, you know, the people around me have such much better situations, much better outcomes in their lives. So why is he favoring them? Why am I not favored? You know, this idea that that I wasn't a chosen one, or that I was one of these unlucky ones, and anyway, all of this kind of rubbish was there. So it wasn't actually until I found Swamiji, so very late in my life, so only a few years back now, only after finding Swamiji and listening to his teachings about there never being any separateness from God, that we ourselves are in fact manifestations of God, that we are the creators of our destiny. Moment to moment, we are always manifesting our reality. It doesn't lie in the hands of some far off God. And, you know, initially I found it very difficult to digest. I found it very difficult to believe that I could be divine. You know, I was very much taught that yes, God is divine. Whoever it is that you're praying to is divine, but man cannot be divine. That man is just man. Come on, we're akin to animals. There's not that much of a difference between us. So it was kind of difficult to digest, but once I started imbibing more and more of Swamiji's teachings and understanding that it's the thoughts and the beliefs that I'm carrying that are manifesting my reality, whether it's positive or negative, I am the source of it all. And God is not actually far off in this place where he's virtually unreachable. He's manifested himself as me. I'm here in this body, never separate from God, as a manifestation of God, and that we're all that. Once I started imbibing these teachings, and once these understandings started clicking with me, and not just clicking with me, but I started to understand experientially that yes, it was whenever I stood up with courage, whenever I stood up with intensity, I have this energy to make anything happen for myself, whether it's in a destructive way or a positive way. I'm the one that's manifesting it. And there is definitely a creative current and energy that's working through my body that is intelligent of its own accord. So, I mean, my heart doesn't need to think, I don't have to think about it beating, my lungs operating. There's many things that are being taken care of by the cosmos, by God. Look at how the earth is beautifully taken care of. The seasons come and go as they're meant to. The planet orbits the way it's meant to. There's a greater intelligence that is a part of everything that cannot be separate from its creation. When I started understanding this, a lot of healing happened. A lot of healing happened with this idea that God doesn't love me, and that feeling of anger also towards life for not giving me what I want. It's not true. I started to understand that life is always giving me what I want in each and every moment, but that's dependent on my cognitions and my beliefs. Life is always saying, so be it. So we have this saying tatastu, which is so be it. It's like a blessing. And what is happening in every moment, with every thought, whatever it is that we're thinking, life is always saying, so be it. So be it. Tatastu, tatastu. So if I'm sitting there saying to myself, not just saying, but really believing in myself that I am not supported by life, God does not love me, I will not ever have what I want, I am not supported, I am not, I have to struggle. The way that others live their lives, I cannot have that, whatever it is that they're having that I perhaps want for myself, it's not possible. Life will always be saying, so be it, so be it. Our thoughts are the seeds through which we manifest our reality. It has nothing to do with a far off God. It has nothing to do with an entity that is not hearing you or not wanting to give you something, withholding from you. All of these things, I could finally understand that everything that I had been spoon fed, everything that I had thought was actually wrong. And that anger that I carried towards life, God, life, whatever, it's all interconnected. That anger finally started healing, but it's taken. It actually happened considering, for how long I had this cognition. It's actually taken quite like a short amount of time to have such a strong cognitive shift into understanding that I am the source and I am the manifester of my reality, and this divine intelligence is always there. If my mind just shuts up for a minute or two, I can feel the presence there inside of me. It's there every moment. And I mean, this is what the whole purpose of meditation is to put us in that space where our mind just kind of relaxes, the thoughts per second reduce, and we can allow that innate intelligence to flow through us. But a big part of it also is looking in, like really raw, being very raw with yourself and seeing what are all the cognitions that you carry about yourself and life. What do you really believe about the universe? What is it that you're manifesting moment to moment? What are these strong ideas that are there in your system? Do you really believe that life is sadistic? Do you really believe that you will never manifest what you want, that you have to struggle? Be raw with yourself and look in and see what are all of your beliefs that you're carrying. What are all of the beliefs that you're projecting out into the world? When you start penning all of these things down, you start understanding that, see, these thoughts and beliefs that you're carrying, the strong ideas, they haven't come from just nowhere, right? They're beliefs that have come from somewhere in your life. There's been some experience, some strong experience that's imprinted that belief in you. So this is why I can't stress enough, and I feel that it's the most important thing for everyone to come and attend Inner Awakening. It's used to be 21 days. When I went and did it, it was 21 days. It's now 23 days, soon to be 25 days. So it's virtually just like a just short of a month that you're taking out of your life to acid wash all of your beliefs, all of your cognitions. See how your brain has virtually been programmed like a computer by your conditionings, whether they're social, religious, whatever conditionings, whatever incidents have happened in your life that have left an impression on you, so that you start understanding who you really are. What are your beliefs that you're carrying? Because these beliefs are what is creating the world around you. Every moment you can see if you look in sincerely that there's certain situations in life where you just simply keep attracting the same thing again and again and again. Whether it's negative or positive, whichever way you want to look at it, there's some belief which is manifesting it. Whether it's the shortage of money, whether it's a health issue which just keeps cropping up, an addiction, you name it, there is some belief which is manifesting it. There's not some outside entity where you're at its whim and it's just sadistically kind of playing with you. You're not a puppet on a string the way you think that you are. I know this because I've experienced it. I've experienced the shift from powerlessness into powerfulness. And inner awakening is just the start. It's the greatest investment of your life. It's a way for you to acid wash all of these powerless cognitions. Recognize the powerful ones that you have and see how you can shift yourself into a space of complete powerfulness. And if you're someone that has had these feelings of anger or whatever it is towards life, towards God, like I said, I gave up on God completely at one point in time. I just said, no, it's too much for me. This whole idea that I'm not loved and I'm not supported and cared for, I just decided, let me just leave you then. And this is something that we often do, unconsciously or even consciously. We just say, all right, no, no more. But you don't have to suffer. This is the beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful that Swamiji is sharing his teachings so openly on YouTube, where you can find, so many solutions to so many different problems. So I hope this has shed light for someone that might be perhaps suffering in the same way that I was. It was a very strong belief in me that, I don't know, God gave up on me, or that um, I wasn't worthy of the things that I wanted for myself, and I wasn't worthy of happiness and whatever was there. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave me one, and I would love to shed some more light or hear about your experiences and be as interactive on this subject as possible. So thank you so much for tuning in. Nityananda.